All right, welcome back. What we're going to do today, this is part two of our game changer. We're going to start with the hook and the vise. We're going to start at a small basic thread. It's going to allow us to tie in our lead-free wire. This is 0.015 that I'm using. We're going to get it started, take a couple wraps. We don't need too many. All this is going to do is kill the fly so it rides right in the water column. Good securing wraps through that. And then we're going to come in and whip that off. Add a little cement to that. You can use super glue or UV. I'm using UV right here. We're going to get that part set. We're going to go ahead and remove this out of the vise. This is the longest part of the process. We're going to add our first shank. This is a 12 millimeter tail shank. The only reason that this one looks different than when we did in part one, I'm going to snip this off. I'm not going to have a trailer hook in this one. So we're going to close the gate, get a good basic thread down. Then we're going to come in with two pieces of feather. I like to use a feather that's barred. We're going to use this as a flutter tail. So you're just going to give the fly a little extra motion in the water as you're stripping it in. We're going to secure the top thread, or top hook, the top feather. Then we're going to come in, put the bottom feather in, pull them back, get secure wraps on those. And then we're going to come in with our Game Changer chenille. So we're going to strip it down to the core so we get a solid tie-in. Work our thread to the front, and then we're going to slowly start going forward. Nice touch and turns. Keep this material tight and preen all the fibers to the rear. Take as many turns as you need to. I like to get these as close as I can. So now we're going to separate the chenille, get a good solid tie-in point again, and we're going to trim that out, and we're going to build up a nice little base right here. We're going to come in whip finish or however you prefer to do it. Put a little head cement on there. That way you don't lose your wraps. I'm using a GSP, so it's a little extra slippery. Before you take out your rear piece, you're going to want to go ahead and hook up your next spine. It's going to make it a little easier. We're going to get that set in the vise, and then it's just a repeat of step one. It's just going to be a little bit longer. This is also a 12 millimeter shank that we did in video one. Sometimes you're going to have to readjust it because you want to get as far back as you can. That way you get as much coverage as you can. Once again, just strip that down so you get a good tie-in point and start slowly working your way forward. If I hadn't voiced over this one, this was going to be about a 22 minute video just on this small fly. So we elected to do it this way. And once again, we're going to get up to where we would feel comfortable, where we want to stop, create some separation in that material, and clip it out and go ahead and whip finish again. Clean that out. Come in again with your UV resin or your super glue or whatever you're using. That way you don't lose your work. And then we're going to insert the third part of the shank. This is going to just be repetitive over and over. Once again, get that as far back as you can. As you can see, I tried to get that shank as far forward in the vise as I can. Sometimes you'll pull this out of the vise when you're tying these just because it's barely hanging on to that little edge. So we're going to clip that out. As you can see, I broke my thread off. Those gates are sharp, so you got to be careful with that. Once again, strip it down to the core. Good solid tie-in. We're going to start pulling all the fibers to the back again. Keep going. Nice tight tension. And you want to keep just pulling that to the rear, just creating a good full fly. Yep, there it goes. You can see that it's snapped out. So good tight turns, it'll keep you from losing your work. You've got time to save it. We're going to tie that front piece off again, building up a nice little thread dam in the front. Come in, whip finish, and then we're going to put in our super glue or UV, whichever one you're using. And then we're going to get to the final step here. We're going to reinsert our hook. Now we're going to get our thread started. We're going to make a nice little base. This is going to let our trailer wire have something to bite down into. What I'm using here is 40-pound Surfline. You don't have to worry about using Surfline if you don't have it. You can use a trailer wire, or you can even use monofilament. This fly doesn't have a hook in the back, so we don't have to worry about it. What I'm doing there, I'm lining that up so I can tie the trailer wire onto the side of the hook. That way it gets the side-to-side motion. So I'm going to bring that down to where I got the tie-in point for that lead-free wire. I'm going to come in my side and tie it forward. What you want to do once you get to that step is pull it to the rear a little bit, and it's going to create a little pinch point right about there so it doesn't foul when you're casting it. We're going to come in, strip it down to the core for our final stage of wraps. We're going to come in, clean that up. We're going to start wrapping forward, and then we're going to start working our way to the front. For part 3 of this fly, what we're going to do is actually trim it and go ahead and color it. This is a fly that is time consuming, but it's a very effective fly. You'll get faster at them as you go, so just stay with it. We're going to separate that, tie it off one more time, and clip it out. And that is part 2 of our game changer. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you hadn't already, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you for part 3 of the fly. Don't forget to add your last cement and clean out your eye.